The best settings for Modern Warfare 2 are on the screen right now for all you screenshotters, and we're going to talk exactly why I use them, as well as changes you need to make depending on your setup. Later, we'll be going into my controller settings as well, so stay tuned for that. And I'm also giving away a copy of Modern Warfare 2 to one random subscriber. So if you don't have Modern Warfare 2 and want to be able to play it, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button down below. Anyways, into the graphic settings. Display mode, you want to have full screen exclusive. I personally run full screen borderless just because I want to stream. I go back and forth between my OBS window. But in terms of best response time and best frames, full screen exclusive is going to be the way to go. Set the screen refresh rate to your hertz of your monitor. Mine is 144. I have a 4K monitor, but I play on 2K, so that's why this is here down below. Use whatever display resolution your monitor is able to use. Dynamic resolution, make sure this is off. Aspect ratio, we're going automatic. VSync, make sure that's off as well. The custom frame rate limit, instead of going unlimited, you want to do this custom, but bump up the frame rate limit as far as you can in the gameplay, and then adjust menu and out of focus as you see fit. Oddly enough, there was a glitch on Cold War where if you had unlimited frame rate, it actually reduced your bandwidth over the game, so I figured it's just safer to stay on custom. And it's okay to have the custom frame rate higher than your monitor's refresh rate because you can push those extra frames. Display gamma, we are going 2.2. Focus mode, turn that off, and high dynamic range, turn that off as well. Moving on to quality. The presets will turn to custom once you change them around. Make sure your render resolution is at 100. It's very important to change the upscaling to fidelity cast. Go to show more and then turn the cast strength up to 100. This makes the game look a lot sharper. This, I believe, in Vanguard made a huge difference, so make sure you have that on for this game as well. Anti-aliasing, we're going with the SMA 2X, turning the quality down to low, but the memory scale, turning that up to 90. For the details and textures down here, we have adjusted these to get the best frames possible, while also keeping the game looking crisp. So texture resolution, we're okay putting that on low. We're going to do high and high for the texture filter and nearby level of detail. Low for distant level. Clutter draw distance, we are going short for that. Particle quality is high, and particle quality level is normal. We're keeping bullet impacts and sprays on, and shader quality low. For tessellation, we're turning that off. Terrain memory is max. On-demand texture streaming, this is another big one. Make sure that you have this one off. You don't have to adjust any of the things down here because once you turn it off, it grays it out. But we figured out that this helps with packet bursts a couple games ago, so we're keeping that off. Streaming quality low, volumetric quality low, deferred physics quality off, and water caustics off. For the shadows and lighting, shadow map resolution, we're turning that very low. Screen space shadows are off. Spot shadow quality is low, cache spot shadows on, spot cache low, cache sun shadows on, particle lighting low, ambient occlusion, make sure that is off. For the remaining ones, this is an important one we're going to get into later, but screen space shadows are off, weather grid volumes are off. Now, for the Nvidia Reflex low latency, if you have an Nvidia card, it's important to know the speeds between your GPU and your CPU before making this decision. So we're going to go over here to interface, scroll down to telemetry, turn GPU time on and CPU time on, before going back to graphics settings. So according to these numbers up here, if you have a slower graphics card compared to your CPU, you're going to want to turn your Nvidia low latency on just on. But if you're like me and your GPU is a lot faster than your CPU, you're going to turn this on plus boost because it allows the graphics card frequencies to be kept high in CPU bound cases. So it's going to ask a little bit more of your GPU, but if your GPU is powerful enough to do that, you'll keep this on plus boost. For the rest of the settings, depth of field, we're going to turn off. World motion blur and weapon motion blur, turn those off as well. And then film grain all the way down to 0. Now for views, some of these are subjective. I like turning the FOV all the way up. That's just how I prefer to play in this game. For the ADS field of view, we are going affected. That's also how I typically play. AR players might want to change more to independent, as well as keyboard and mouse players, but I prefer affected. I like wide for the weapon field of view and vehicle field of view. Personally, it feels like you're able to see more on the map. Now, in terms of first person and third person camera movement, be sure to turn those as low as they can go. That way your screen just won't be shaking in the middle of gunfights or anything like that. That is all for the graphics settings. We're going to move on to my controller settings. In terms of your button layout, that should be just pretty much how you've been playing. For me, I play claw, so I flip L1, L2, and R1, R2, and I keep it on default, simply because I'm holding my controller like this, so I'm able to press the buttons however I want. My stick sensitivity is 6.6. I've made videos on this previously, but if you're unsure where to make your sensitivity, go into a private match, put on a class that makes the hip fire as good as possible, and transfer your spray between bot to bot. Shout out and RIP Fizzard for that method. But if you're able to smoothly transfer your sprays from one bot to another bot without overshooting or undershooting, then your sensitivity is where it needs to be. For sensitivity multiplier, I keep that at the same, but I will adjust that later in the advanced settings. And here are my settings here. For the advanced, we're obviously keeping aim assist on. I play as the default aim assist. I've previously done Black Ops, but I prefer default in this game. Dynamic aim curve response type, make sure you have dynamic. That's a game changer. And ADS aim assist, that's just for campaign, so it doesn't matter too much. I have that off. Sensitivity transition is instant. Here's where I mess with the custom sensitivity presume. If you go to show more, Here you can change, I go to 0.95 on the low zoom, and then I go up to 1.1 on the high zoom. If you're on console and want to change this, you are going to have to plug in a keyboard and mouse to go to the 0.95. Otherwise, it's just going to snap you all the way down to the 0.9 or the 1.0. Dead zones are huge. If you're unsure, the most important one is the right stick min. You need to be in a game or at least in a private match. Turn this all the way down to 0 and look at your crosshairs in a private match. If you're getting stick drift, slowly turn this up one at a time until there's no stick drift anymore. For me, that's at 0.03, and even then I get a little bit, but it's so important to have your dead zone all the way low that I keep it on 0.03 anyways. Here are the rest of my movement behaviors. I turn grounded mantle off as well as automatic off and off just so you're not randomly mantling in the middle of gunfights. And there are the rest of my settings there. I don't believe there's anything terribly important. And yeah, so those are my settings for Modern Warfare 2. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. If you did, let me know with a like or a sub down below. And I'll catch you next time at lunchtime.